The Golden Oak Ranch.
Things have changed somewhat since we were here.
Thank heaven we haven't changed.
Yeah, Dale, you're right about that. Yeah, isn't it nice? Some
This
things
was all
always stay the
corralled,
same.
right? This
Yes.
would be the entrance.
Yeah.
Or was that the entrance?
I don't know. I don't know. But this was
Yeah.
what would have been the entrance in the series.
Fence along here, corral there. You would have come in your limo.
In the limo with
Right through here.
with Pat O'Malley, Perkins, the English butler was coming in here. The bunkhouse was over here. Was over in this area, and office was here. Was that
Well,
right?
this building, yeah,
Yeah,
this
that's
would
the
be a
office.
part
That's what's
of
left
probably-
of the office.
Yeah.
I think, the fight was here.
Yeah,
The boxing ring was here.
Right,
And
right over here. There was
yeah,
another
and-
structure here.
Yeah, and then the barn, the main barn, and the corral where you did a lot of
Would be
stuff with the
down there,
horses
yeah.
was down there. I remember that because I remember my horse during a shot stepped on my foot and rotated. So that I remember that hurt.
Which is why you've never been a very good dancer.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Do you remember I know we did some shots on stage back at Disney, but didn't we do some interior shots out here in the bunkhouse?
In the bunkhouse, yeah,
Bunkhouse?
right.
And what was the other, maybe dining room
I
scenes?
think a part of this, what remains of this building, I think we also did some dining room stuff
Okay.
in there, but there was little interior stuff.
Yeah, but we actually did do some out here.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it really looks different, doesn't it?
well, all the buildings are gone and the
Yeah.
fences.
Yeah.
So you have
And our memory.
And our memory. Yeah.
Meet Spin Evans, the most popular fellow at the Triple R.
Spin and Marty was a unbelievably popular thing in our time, and I've done a lot of thinking about it because there are a lot of people who grew up with Spin and Marty, with the Mickey Mouse Club and all that, and I really have come to believe that it wasn't because of necessarily the quality of the show or that any of us was that great an actor or anything like that, but we were the only thing on that was for kids. There were puppet shows, there were cartoons, but there weren't any live action shows. So that's where the Mickey Mouse Club fit in. It was a live action show that was it was theirs, it was for kids. And our part of it was this fantasy land that was for kids, to go to a dude ranch, to have your own horse, to be away from your parents, to be on your own and to have adventures. And I think that's what made our part of the show, Spin and Marty, so popular. It wasn't because he or I were great actors. He was a good actor. He really was a good actor, but not in Spin and Marty.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's all right.
Thank you.
It was great for us because usually when you're a kid actor, you work in a dark soundstage, and here we were out in the sun and playing with horses and our friends and whatever, and it was almost like not working, other than the fact that every once in a while we had to stop playing to make a movie.
Yes. Now and again, I always felt for the assistant directors who had to round us up, search out where we had gone and bring us in and say, all right, it's time to do something for the money we're paying you.
Yeah.
They sure are a fine-looking bunch of horses.
Dibs on that black one. He's for me. I want the paint with the bald face.
They gave us our own horses.
Yep.
And that's the way they taught us to ride. I don't know about you, but I was terrified of horses before this all happened. And
Gee, I wish I'd known that.
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't tell you. And I was supposed to be a good hand. And when they gave us our horses, we actually became good hands.
Hey, look! A woodchuck. Let's go get him.
Well, I remember that 2 or 3 months before we started shooting, we went out for riding lessons.
Yeah.
And I remember we started with an English saddle, learned how to post, and then...
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I did. I went down to Griffith Park.
Yeah, but I wonder if you had a different training, because you were the snotty rich kid.
You probably had convinced them that you knew how to ride.
You think so?
And they believed it.
Well, I don't think any of the Wranglers believed it.
But I remember they sent me out to Lenny Gear's place, and he was the owner of Popcorn, who was my horse in the series, Skyrocket.
And Lenny Gear, we should say, played Ollie in our series.
Yeah.
And it was a great character, great guy. One time somebody gave my wife and me a game Trivial Pursuit or something like that. And it said, and I have to tell you, I'm not great at games and I have very little patience for them. My wife is terrific at them. But these people came over another time, so of course we had to play whatever the game was, Trivial Pursuit. So we had to bring out this thing, and it was my wife and I against them, right? And I had nothing to say in this entire game until the question came, what was the name of Marty's horse in Spinnin' Marty? And my wife smiled and looked at me, and I went, beats the heck out of me. I hadn't a clue.
Watch this. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. There. Okay, that's enough.
Yeah, you have to keep in mind that these were filmed in 1955, 1956, and summer of 1957. We used to shoot these because we were child actors and had to go to school when we were
Very
working.
formative years for us.
Yes, it was.
You know, 14, 15, and 16.
Yeah. So we shot out here in the summers when we didn't have to go to school for 4 hours a day by law. So every summer, you know, we'd finish school and spend the summer out here making the fall series. But that was relatively early in television. You know, in the 50s, it was really just beginning to take off.
We used to get on a bus at Dark 30 at Burbank, the Disney Studios, and trek out here and do our stuff. About an hour and a half or something like that in a bus.
Hour and a half, 2
you know,
hours.
when you're a teenager, to be an hour and a half in a bus is not the best thing in the world, and probably not even nearly as good for the parents to be with those teenagers.
Right.
Mr. Disney, every once in a while would show up, and not just here, but when we were on other things for Walt Disney Studios. He was around, but he was never. There was never a big deal made about Mr. Disney. Mr. Disney would just be there. He would just be in the background. And then, you know, the whispers go, oh, Mr. Disney's here, look at that.
Right.
You know, I mean, we were just as big as fans as anybody else.
Yeah, we may not have even noticed that he was near the set or had watched a particular shot, and somebody'd say afterwards, yeah, Mr. Disney was here. Oh, right, gee.
There was never any entourage or anything Hollywood about Walt Disney, at least in our experience.
No.
He was just a kind of a quiet presence.
I believe this is the grove, the same grove where we had the campfire.
Yeah. We had logs around here.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's exactly here, but maybe actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A campfire would have been here.
Remember the
logs.
second year the girls came and joined us?
Yes,
Annette.
Darlene
yeah,
Gillespie.
yeah. All sitting around a campfire with Stan.
Yes, strumming his guitar, accompanying our...
And Lenny Gear, Ollie.
Yes.
It was such a cool spot that the parents, the moms, used to come up here and wait,
Yep.
you know, while we were shooting.
And they had the lunch tables here sometimes. They would set the lunch tables up here because, again, just a really, really idyllic spot. I understood that when they bought this place, it was like 300 acres, and they bought it for $300,000 then.
Wow.
Although I guess it's now, the total property is now 800 acres. We should have bought this place. Having done the Spin and Marty show and the series has become much more meaningful now. Because at the time, you know, we're kids.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any concept that it was going to be that popular. And we didn't have any concept, even after we knew it was somewhat popular, that it would have that lasting impact on people. That's just astonishing.
And it's sure better to have people come up to you all your life and say, oh, gosh, I love that show, and it meant a lot to me, and yada-da, than to be a part of something that was not a good thing in a lot of people's lives. I think we're very lucky, very fortunate. Actually, you know what? I think a little further up this road is where Annette's horse ran away from her.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yes, I do.
And what was that wrangler's name? Sleepy. He was asleep on his horse, and his horse was always asleep.
Mel.
Mel Ballard. Mel Ballard. We used to call him Mel Mallard. That's right.
Right.
And the both of them woke up at the same time.